Minister of Defense Mohammed Badaru and that of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tuga challenged the security chiefs to critically address issues of terrorism by collaborating effectively to combat the illegal movement of small arms and light weapons in the region.
Let me remind us all that the security landscape of West Africa is presently marked by both complex challenges and opportunities for cooperation. Accordingly, joint efforts towards countering terrorism, managing cross-border crimes, hybrid threats, as well as enhancing regional security are vital to safeguarding our nations and promoting sustainable development. The Mediation and Security Council at the ministerial level under my leadership to prioritize the activation of the ECOWAS standby force for counter-terrorism efforts.
Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, ECOWAS Ambassador Abdel Fattah Musa, explained that the 42nd Ordinary Meeting was delayed because of the political development exemplified by coup in the region. He added that this allowed the chief to review the implementation of decisions taken at the previous meetings.
Ordinary meetings have allowed you, among other initiatives, to develop a roadmap for the activation of the ECOWAS standby force in its kinetic mode to address the existential threat posed by terrorism and unconstitutional changes of government.
Top on the agenda of the meeting was the activation of ECOWAS standby force against terrorism. Chief of Defense Cape Verde, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Guinea-Bissau and Togo were absent at the meeting. Kikelomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Oh, thank you, Kikelomo Okeri, for that reporting. The House of Representatives has claimed that there is a rift between the Speaker Tajuddin Abbas and his deputy Benjamin Kalu following the dissolution of the committee investigating oil theft and the importation of adulterated fuel. In a statement by spokesperson Rotimi Akin, the House observed that certain media outlets had speculated about tensions following the committee's dissolution. Akin stressed that the leadership's action is aimed at ensuring the efficacy, independence and effectiveness of the investigations. Way to other stories now. Governor Abdullahi Saleh of Nasarawa reaffirmed his administration's commitment to pay the 70,000 minimum wage approved by President Bola Tinubu to civil servants in the country. Peter Hemba, senior assistant to Governor Sule on Public Affairs, stated this in Lafia, the state capital, during a courtesy visit to the Nigeria Union of Journalists Correspondence Chapel in the state. He said the payment of the new minimum wage to civil servants would not only improve their welfare, but also boost their productivity in the state. The police command in Jigawa State says it has arrested 82 additional suspects for looting and vandalism of property during the nationwide protest. The command spokesperson, DSP Lawan Shishu, said in a statement in Dutse that the items recovered from 212 suspects include 303 bags of fertilizer, 50 motorcycles, 3 tricycles, 12 bicycles, 9 chairs, 54 cartons of mosquito nets, 2 bags and office furniture. The federal government says plans are underway for the construction of the Nigerian Creative City, a one-stop hub for talent development and youth empowerment. Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musa, said this in an interview in Abuja. Musawa said the project is part of initiatives conceived by the ministry to provide a platform to harness creative opportunities across the country for economic gains. The federal government has announced that the guidelines for the suspension of customs duty and taxes on imported food items are to commence next week. In July, the federal government had approved a 150-day duty-free window to allow the importation of maize, husked brown rice, and wheat as part of measures to combat rising food inflation across the country. The initiative was based on the implementation of the Presidential Accelerated and Stabilization Advancement Plan. Speaking at a meeting of heads of security agencies in Abuja, the Controller General of Customs, Bashir Adeni, said the implementation of the policy would commence once the guidelines are ready. Nigerians residing in America under the aegis of the Nigerians in Diaspora Organization, America, have called on the National Assembly to ensure that the ongoing constitutional amendments include provisions for diaspora voting. In a statement signed by the association's chairman, Bukola Olaoye, and Secretary Uche Uzoigwe, the organization praised Nigerians in Diaspora Commission NIDCAM for successfully hosting the National Diaspora Day 2024 and the second edition of the Diaspora Merit Award. The statement expressed the Diaspora Committee's eagerness to see the realization of diaspora voting and recommended Nigerian parliamentary leaders for their commitments towards this goal. No fewer than 4,877 victims of human trafficking from Nigeria have voluntarily returned to the country since 2017. According to a report by the International Organization for Migration, IOM, the victims returned to the country under the Migrations Assisted Voluntary Return and Reintegration Program, with women and girls constituting nearly 88% of the returnees, while men accounted for 13%. The data showed that most victims fell within the age bracket of 18 to 39, with those aged 18 to 25 being particularly susceptible to recruitment by traffickers. Medical doctors have commenced an indefinite strike in Ogun State over unresolved issues concerning their allowances. It was reported that industrial action is hinged on the pay disparity between federal and state medical workers. Chairman of the Nigerian Medical Association, Dr. Kunle Ashimi, confirmed the commencement of the strike at the press conference in Abeokuta, the state capital. According to him, the core of the doctors' grievances lies in the reviewed consolidated medical salary structure, which they believe should be implemented to stem the exodus of medical professionals from the states. You're watching Midday News, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We are on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us on our social media platforms using @Global TVNG and other handles as you now see on your screen. When the Midday News returns, World Health Organization calls emergency meeting to discuss jump in mpox cases from Democratic Republic of Congo. We will bring you those details and more stories after this short break. Please stay with us. Thank you so very much for your time with us. Now let's talk business. The organizers of the China-Nigeria Expo say it will strengthen trade ties between China and Nigeria. The expo, which is scheduled for November 5 to 8 in Lagos, is said to be the largest gathering of Chinese manufacturers in Nigeria and West Africa region. According to a statement from the organizers, Nigeria is China's second largest trading partner in Africa, and China is the country's largest source of imports. Chinese customs data showed that the bilateral trade volume between Nigeria and China reached $23.9 billion in 2022, with China's exports to Nigeria amounting to $22.3 billion and imports from Nigeria totaling $1.6 billion. The Senate has questioned the $1.5 billion approved in 2021 for the turnaround maintenance of the Port Harcourt refining and petrochemical company with little or no results. It also vowed to probe allegations of sabotage to the supply of crude oil to domestic refineries as the National Assembly invited officials of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Dangote Petroleum Refinery, among others, for the probe. It raised this concern in the face of what is being seen by many Nigerians as pervasive allegations of sabotage in the petroleum industry by major players in the sector. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has revealed that the country currently spends $600 million on fuel importation monthly. He stated that the high import bill is due to neighboring countries up to Central Africa benefiting from the country's fuel imports. Edwin explained that the situation was the reason President Bola Tinubu removed fuel subsidy, as the country does not know the exact amount of fuel consumed internally. The federal government, in collaboration with the International Cotton Advisory Committee, has begun the resuscitation of Nigeria's cotton industry. The target is to create over 1.4 million jobs annually in the cotton textile sector, while the focus is to develop key components of the cotton value chain, comprising farming, weaving, ginning, and linking of cotton. Shetima urged stakeholders to come up with a roadmap for the revitalization of the cotton textile sector in Nigeria, noting that it is time to work more and talk less. Let's take you to the foreign scene now, where the World Health Organization, WHO, is convening an expert committee to advise on whether the growing monkeypox, otherwise called Mpox, outbreak in Africa should be declared an international emergency. The organization's chief, Tedros Ghebreyesus, stated these at the United Nations headquarters in New York in the United States. He observed that this last September, cases have surged in the Democratic Republic of Congo due to a strain of the virus which has now been detected in nearly African countries. Ghebreyesus said that given the spread outside the DR Congo and the potential for further international spread, he had decided to convene an emergency committee. The committee will advise him on whether the outbreak represents a public health emergency of international concern, the highest alarm the World Health Organization can sound. Thousands of United Kingdom riot police stood ready to deal with more potential outbreaks of violence, which erupted more than a week ago after 3 children were murdered. Far-right groups have planned demonstrations in more than 30 locations, with immigration lawyers and buildings hosting asylum seekers set to be the primary target. The government has said 6,000 specialist police are being raided to deal with England's worst disorder in over a decade, which has seen hundreds arrested and more than 100 charged. Now let's get some excitement from the world of sports. Nigeria will begin campaigning in the 4x100 meter relays of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games today, having been drawn in heats 1 and 2 of the men's and women's categories, with the latter having a similarly more difficult route to the final. The Nigerian men's team, comprising Favour Ashe, Godson, Ogane Brume, Kenshola Ajayi, Udo Ozokori, and the others against the Netherlands, South Africa, Great Britain, USA, Japan, Italy, and Australia. The women's team of Favour Ofili, Tima Gobless, Rosemary Chukuma, Olayinka Olajide, and Justina Eyakbo-Beya will fancy their chances of progressing to the next stage. Let's turn to other stories for you now in sports. Let's talk some basketball. Nigeria's senior women's basketball team, the Tigers, have crashed out of the 2024 Olympic Games after losing 88-74 to the United States of America in the quarterfinals of the women's basketball. While it was business as usual for the USA as they continued to bear down on yet another successful title defense, Nigeria bowed out of the competition as basketball heroes, having exceeded expectations by making it to the last 16, a feat no other African team has achieved. The Nigerians were helping to book a place in the semifinals of the competition at the expense of the Americans. And that's all we'll leave it here on the news. Thank you everyone for watching. I am Uyi Agmofuegbe. Coming up shortly will be Lunch Global with Chonganamel Joseph. I'll see you again.